Well, you've probably heard it already. Oh, those dang Chinese getting involved in the Canadian election again. Oh no. Our election task force has been notified and has noticed that there's been some serious weirdness going on WeChat over in China, and a coordinated effort to sway the minds of Chinese Canadians in favor of Mark Carney, showing him more of a favorable light. They did mention, there are some negative things they're mentioning, but they didn't really specify what those are, but they were very clear what the positive things were. So it makes you wonder, okay, what were the negative things? But that is the big story of this afternoon. It was going to be about the markets dropping like crazy, but no, it's going to be about China being involved in our election process yet again. More foreign interference, going in the favor of the Liberal Party, going in the favor of Mark Carney, and the outrageousness of these people who claim to be fact checkers, saying, well, it's both positive and negative. It's both coverages. Really? Well, we look at the history of Mark Carney, look at the history of the Liberal Party, look how close and tight they've been with China, the CCP, and those who are associated by relation to the CCP have been so close to the Liberal Party of Canada. We will see here. The task force gets up and does their press briefing on this very issue, and here are the details.
We are aware of an information operation targeting the 45th general election on the social media platform WeChat. The information operation was launched by Yoli Yomien, WeChat's most popular news account. Intelligence reporting links the Yoli Yomien account to the PRC, Chinese Communist Party's Central Political and Legal Affairs Commission. The content of this information operation contains story about the Prime Minister, Liberal Party of Canada leader, and candidate in Nepean, Mark Carney. This content has been amplified in a coordinated and inauthentic way. This information operation had contrasting positive and negative narratives, first amplifying Mr. Carney's stance with the United States, and then targeting his experience and credentials. The site task force assesses that the foreign state-backed information operation was intended to influence Canadian Chinese communities and look to mold perceptions about the candidate. The campaign received high levels of user engagement and views, between 85,000 and 130,000 interactions, and an estimate of 1 to 3 million views. WeChat developer Tencent reports that the platform itself has over 1.3 billion monthly active users, but has not disclosed how many of those users live overseas. The activity saw large spikes of what is believed to be coordinated inauthentic behavior on March 10th and 25th, 2025. Following increasing levels of engagement on the platform, the Liberal Party representative was briefed about the findings on April 6th. The site task force will be discussing this issue with Tencent, the developer of WeChat, later today to raise our concerns.
If you're worried about what's going on in this country, if you're worried about the foreign interference that has been levied and looking to and impact our election here, if you're worried about that happening, don't worry. We're talking to Tencent today about it. We're going to levy our concerns. Yes, the campaign that has been linked back to the CCP, the government of China, who has control over every company in the country. You're going to go to that company and say, can you tell us more what China's doing? Can you tell us more what your government's doing in our country? Please? We need to have a sit-down talk about this. Our country, our officials, our systems, our institutions are laughable at this point. How can you as a Canadian take any of this seriously and trust them with your safety? And trust that we're going to have a fair election. When this stuff is allowed to go on, and they go on to do these press conferences and says, we're going to talk to Tencent about it. The campaign was linked to the Chinese government. The Chinese government has an iron fist over any company operating in China. And you're going to talk to them, see if they can give you some information on what's happening. Do these people know what's going on here? Look, maybe I'm out to lunch on this. Maybe there's something that Tencent will actually, give them the information they need. Maybe there's something I'm totally oblivious to. But something tells me that's not going to happen. And this is big, big news, right? Because we've heard about this before. It happened during the Liberal leadership race, where there's a serious campaign leveraged maliciously at Chrystia Freeland in favor of Mark Carney. When you see this type of stuff happening, you have to be reminded of the connection that Mark Carney has had to Beijing, to China, to the Central Bank of China over the past decade. And you have to wonder, how compromised is he? We saw it yesterday, where he's all elbows up on Donald Trump. America this, America that, Daniel Smith sucks, yada, yada, yada. But someone forgot that China's also levied massive tariffs on us. But he won't talk about them. He won't talk about them. This man is duly compromised. And should be of concern to Canadians. Should be is the operative word. But I said multiple times when I do the start of these shows saying like, share, subscribe, all this. It's because we're going against this machine here, folks. This was the headline from Global News. Carney targeted by Chinese WeChat operation in Canada election, making him sound like he's the victim in all this. Meanwhile, he's benefiting so much from it because China wants him as prime minister because he's favorable towards them. He's favorable to a communist regime. But that doesn't matter as long as you get your $1 billion of funding every year, right, Global? CBC did the same thing. Security officials report Beijing-linked online operation is targeting Carney. Yet when you look at the story, he's benefiting massively from this. The fact he hasn't said jack about it should tell you everything you need to know. CTV News has the story in the top right corner here, but don't worry, they gave you the nice red banner treatment. Oh, it's Mark Carney says market turmoil is unfortunate but not unforeseen. Look at our live updates here. That's the red banner on CTV, and they ran the same story here. Same word, targeting Mark Carney. This is what we're dealing with, folks. No, I'm talking to Reg. Talked to Reg multiple times. He actually is the one who posted this on our show's behalf today. China and the U.S. both meddling in Canadian politics, both hitting us with tariffs, both seem to be like Mark Carney. Is he the one to stand up to interference or the one they've been waiting for? Any links? This Globe and Mail article that's behind a paywall, which is really one of the few articles that is honest on this issue in the mainstream, but it's hidden behind a paywall. And then they have the Bureau. And you can always trust Sam Cooper to give a nice, honest headline of what's happening. Beijing intelligence operation promotes PM Carney's strength against U.S. to sway Chinese Canadian voters, election monitor says. An information operation linked to the highest levels of the Chinese Communist Party, disseminated through one of WeChat's most popular news accounts and tied to Chinese intelligence propaganda, is attempting to alter the opinions of Chinese Canadian voters about Liberal candidate Mark Carney, including by promoting his strength against the United States, an official said Monday as Canada's election threat monitoring unit revealed new findings. When I was talking to Reg, he's been talking to a lot of people on the ground who are left-leaning, want Mark Carney. You bring up these issues and they don't care. They don't care. They don't care. They are so caught up in the mainstream narrative that Trump is the biggest threat to us that they don't care what China's doing. They don't care what any other country's doing. But if Trump so much as breathes in Canada's direction, all of a sudden they'll know about it and they'll be upset about it. We are witnessing a very influential campaign happening across our mainstream media being levied against the Canadian people and hiding the flaws of Mark Carney and covering for him. And the question will remain in this election: will all this work been enough to win the establishment and install their candidate? Or are Canadians smarter than the establishment gives them credit for? And will the polls be BS? All the efforts of the media turn out to be faulty as Canada chooses the Conservatives in a majority government? We'll see. There's a lot of work ahead. Continue to share, continue to like, continue to subscribe, and we'll keep bringing you the news of what is happening so you can stay up to date. Have yourselves a good one. I'm out.